All right. I think we're
Yep.
live. Yay. All right. Are you still there, Sarah?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, awesome. Hello everyone. Happy Wednesday. Welcome, my peaceful and profitable entrepreneurs. We have a very fun conversation today. My bookkeeper, Sara, is here. So we'll dive into that conversation. It's about all about taking time off and being a 5-figure, 6-figure, 7-figure business, whatever figure. I think this is an important conversation to start now, especially before the holidays and moving into Q4. So we will dive into that, but let me just make sure. Okay, I got to move all my stuff around so I can have my notes, and then I can just pull up Facebook. Anyone, please comment, please say hello, ask your questions. We want to be here as a resource. We want this to be supportive to you. So this is definitely for you, so don't be shy. We will keep watching the replay, and if you ask questions later, we'll be sure to answer those for you. And just a little housekeeping, we have a fun masterclass next week. It is called 20K Revenue Secrets and Unlikely Lessons for 5-figure months. If you've been here a minute, I'm not into like secrets. I think that's just bullshit. And anyone who tells you there's a secret out there, you need to run far away. But I use that in the title just to be funny, and just it's things that people don't talk about. Like everyone talks about building a funnel, doing reels, growing your audience, all these things. But this is literally a process and a playbook that I created for myself. It's something that I go through constantly. So I want to share it with you, because if you're just feeling like things aren't working, or you're doing everything right, or it's just you're feeling stuck, I really invite you to join this live stream. It's kind of all the stuff that no one talks about, or you're probably not thinking about. So that'll be next week. You can sign up. I'll drop the link below. It comes to your inbox. It is free. You get the playbook. And again, this is a playbook like I use personally over and over and over. So just super valuable. And then you have the replay as well. So wanted to throw that out there. We'll drop the link as well. So that'll be fun for next week. And today we've got Sara. Sara, feel free to introduce yourself.
Hello, I am Sara, and I've been the bookkeeper with Jordan for a little over 2 years now. Prior to that, I was working in administration and office management, and I live in Maryland with my husband of 4 years and our 2 dogs, and we actually have a little baby boy on the way due in February.
Hey, yay! I wasn't going to say anything, so.
Woo! It's out.
So this conversation is just really important to us. I took time off in July. I took the month off. We had systems and processes set up, but now like just going into the holidays, that just makes it super simple. As Sara has a baby, it just makes it super simple. So this is something that is like near and dear to my heart. We're going to talk about it through the mindset, strategy, organized implementation pieces of my framework. So we're going to look at it through a few different lenses. So of course, obviously the first piece is mindset, and a lot of business owners like feeling like they can't leave their business, or, they can't fully unplug, not giving their brain time off. And it's like, there's just so much brain research out there about like giving your brain white space and downtime. And that's when you really like when I was gone for July, I literally wrote like a stack of content because my brain was just like firing on all cylinders. And then I came back just like ready to go. And my clients were just like ready to go when they came back. So like that time is just so needed. And it's really what builds a sustainable, intentional business, being fully present while you're gone, and then coming back and having a business that ran while you're gone. So yeah, it's like I feel like Sara, we kind of are on the same page with this, where it's like, we need to treat the business like a business, and, figure out vacation time ahead of time. Like if you're working a 9-to-5, you had to put that time in. You had to let people know, plan for that. And it's the same thing in business.
Yeah, you say it perfectly here. I mean, when you're constantly working those normal 9 to 5 hours, you have that burnout when you're going over that amount of time. And when you get that burnout, things can start slipping through the cracks. So that can have a major impact on the business, on your mind and body, and even in the relationships outside of the work environment. So in order to maintain that strong business that has your full 100% attention, you need to be able to shut it off and step back and just refresh.
Yeah. I recently had a client, and we were talking about kind of her ideal schedule. Like we were kind of seeing like what we just started together. So she's kind of giving me the lay of the land on everything. And so we were really looking at her ideal schedule, and she had thought about like, should I open evenings so I can take on extra work because I really want to make money and all this stuff? And I was like, nothing is wrong with that, but let's look at your ideal schedule. Like, what does that look like? And then if you want to bump out of that because it feels good or you just have extra capacity, like, totally go for it. But just to like set the intention first of this is what I want it to look like, instead of just being like, I'm going to open my schedule wide open, even in the evenings. And it's like, if that's how you build it, it's really hard to pull back from that. So just like setting the intention of time off or time away or weekends off or holidays off, like whatever that is, like full permission to bump into that. If you want to work on a Saturday or offer a VIP session on a Saturday, like go for it. But just like kind of set those guardrails up first. And then as you want to kind of go outside of that, that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. I fully agree to that. Just make sure that you aren't overdoing it. Make sure you set those intentions, set those bumpers up so that if you go outside of those bumpers, maybe I need to kind of reconfigure things a little bit more and just narrow it in.
Yeah. And I think it's helpful too. Like back when I first started, I was working nap times with my, baby, my first child. And then it kind of got busier. So then I was working night times. And I remember my husband being like, oh, is this kind of like a normal thing for you? And I was like, yeah, this is just a normal thing right now. It's like nap times and night times was it. And for that period of time, it was totally fine. Like I still check in at night, but it's very much like an easy check-in. Like it's not me sitting down to do like hours of work at 7 o'clock because I just don't have the capacity for that because I work during the day. But just seeing that like that was a trade-off I was willing to make at that time. And I knew it was like a season. It wasn't like forever, but they were so little and small, and I wanted to be with each of my kids during the day during that time. So it was nice to just give myself permission to be like, this is just kind of what it looks like for a while. So I think in different seasons, and obviously we're kind of talking about the holidays here, but just like giving yourself that permission to be like, this is just kind of how it is for now, and this is how I want it to look, and this is a trade-off I'm willing to make 10 times over, and just like saying it and claiming it and just having that be like the decision I would make again type of thing.
Love it. Love it. Yeah.
So, we kind of talked about the mindset, and the mindset piece kind of plays into all the other pieces, but, just thinking about the strategy, like, especially with a team, like, most of the people that work with me, like they work with other people. They have other clients, like our social media manager and website girl. Like it's helpful to just let them know in advance, literally, like, so that they can plan around it, get what they need from you, and so they can start thinking about like, oh, am I going to take time off and go ahead and like have that conversation? So, Sarah and I are both big planners. So we're very much like planning.
Very much a planner. It comes hand in hand with the anxiety part of me. It's like I need to be able to know exactly what's going. Like when I go on vacation, I need to know what we're doing on vacation, where we're going to eat, what time we're eating, if it's going to be sunset.
Yeah. Sarah, we planned her October visit to Charleston. Like we know what we're doing. I've got reservations. So we jive like that. But I know, and I know with some people like my husband's family, it's hard to get them to nail down a plan. Like they are just not like that. But it's like, we need to buy airplane tickets. We need to figure out work. So
yeah,
at least opening the door, if you can't make those plans or your team members can't, at least you're like opening the door for the conversation so that it's not November and then it's like, oh snap, now we're just now talking about this. Like it's just helpful to kind of start that. Sure.
Yeah, my husband's the same way. I swear. It's like he's super spontaneous. And I'm like, if you do that in your business, though, if you're spontaneous, you're like, I'm going to go on a trip. See you guys. Good luck. It's like, that's setting your business up for failure. So you have to open yourself up to that conversation and just help your team a little bit there and help your clients understand what your expectations are and that you're just touching base and letting them know like, hey, we're all human. We all have to have a little bit of a break.
Yeah. And it's helpful just to see, what was the thought? It just left my mind. I don't know what I was about to say. It'll come back to me, but just even like prepping ahead of time, like for July, I prepped for the month of July. And then I also prepped for August. Like I had all of my content ready for August. I had my live streams figured out. And it was just nice to give myself that lead time so that when you do come back, like if you're taking a week, like give yourself maybe another week to like kind of recover. Like, we've got small kids and like, what if you travel and then like your flight is delayed and it's just nice to come back with a little runway, I guess. Yeah, a cushion. That's the right word. So it's not just like hey, I'm back on Sunday and I'm hitting the ground running on Monday, because we kind of need that adjustment, and just kind of like that space. So, that was something that I really like thanked my previous self for doing, was like giving myself that runway. And then with the holidays, like thinking ahead of time and what you need, and then what you're going to even need after.
That's so funny that you say that, because I swear, like when you, and it's weird that people feel this way. I don't know if you feel this way, I will say, but when you come home from a vacation, do you ever feel like you have to have a little vacation from your vacation? Like instead of just rushing back into everything?
Like with 3 kids, vacation isn't the same as it used to be. It's like I'm exhausted, like I'm so tired. So like just knowing that, and maybe you don't have 3 kids or whatever that looks like for you, but if you just literally are like, I need a day to unpack, or I need a day to do laundry, just giving yourself that like flexibility. Maybe I'm still going to work, but maybe I don't have client sessions that day. Like just knowing you, like what your tendencies are, how you feel when you come back from a trip, and really like work that into how you build your strategy. Yeah, I think it's just super helpful.
Yeah, and then sometimes you can get like vacation brain. So it's like easing yourself back into that is a nice little like leeway, like back into life.
It's just like we're humans, we take time off, and then we just need to figure out for ourselves like how does that look when we come back and make it work for us. And this was something I did like a whole content live stream a few weeks ago. So if y'all are interested, like please go back and watch that. But this is just a great time to repurpose content. Like I talked about a couple weeks ago, content is your asset, it's your inventory. And so I'm always trying to work old content into my current content, just because it saves me time. And it's just, there's no point in writing 100% new stuff. But it was also helpful to have during my live streams, I just purposed some previous ones. Like I went back to see what was the most popular and I replayed those. So it was like nice to just see that like I still had new stuff going out, and I didn't have to like create 2 months worth of totally new stuff. So that was just really nice to just kind of let yourself use those assets you've built in your business to kind of keep them working for you again.
Yeah, I feel like that's the best way to keep your head above water, is to repurpose what you've already done. That way you aren't like spending that way you don't have to spend so much time creating new content, and that free time that you now have from creating new content can be used to pack and like ready yourself for the vacation that you've been wanting. So like planning ahead is also great, like I said, for the keeping the anxiety at bay. And that way your clients know what's to come, and then they can plan accordingly for themselves. And then when I had that heads up from Jordan for her July vacation, that helped me take a chance and look over everything, make sure I didn't need her for anything before she left, which we have great daily communication. So we didn't really have anything much to add to like what we needed. And I was like all set and ready for her to go and enjoy her vacation thoroughly.
Yeah, it was nice to start looking at it through that lens, like as we were doing our work ahead of time. And as we, go into Q4 and the holidays, it's being like, okay, if I was gone, what would they need from me now? Or would they be able to do this without me right now? And just kind of looking at your workflow and how you're communicating and seeing where the gaps are, so that you can go ahead and like nip those in the bud or create some other kind of, resource or system around it. I think it's just really helpful. So in our business, like with the bookkeeping, we've got tasks set up. We have like runway with sales tax, and we have all of these things just so structured so that it's just, and that kind of going into the organized piece. But a term I've heard a lot recently is like having a boring business. And that is really where I see the magic happen with my clients, is when they can create a boring business. Because my clients who thrive on chaos and just unexpected things come up, like those are the ones that can never get ahead and never seem to like get their profit up, because they are always just like trying new things or trying something and burning it down and not really sticking with it. But my clients that like soar and just like turn into a well-oiled machine, it's because they have this boring business and really doing things over and over so that your team gets efficient at it. Like you have the bookkeeping on lockdown, like you barely need me for anything. And it's because we have structured it. Like every month we do these things. It's by this date. The clients know this. Our communication with clients looks like this. Like it is boring, but it makes life so much better, because we have the capacity to go do everything else outside of life and not be like, oh, should I follow up with the client on sales tax, or do I do this by this date? Like, there aren't questions around all of that.
No, and it's also good to kind of be like perfect yourself at one thing before you add something else to the mess of everything. So it's like, it's really good to just be sure that you have that well-oiled machine. And then if you want to add something else to that well-oiled machine, you just want to make sure you're perfected in your one thing, the one thing that keeps your business going before you add into something else.
Yeah, it's like I only have so much brain capacity for certain things. Like there are certain things I know I want to do, but I'm just like at a certain point of capacity. So it's nice to just like have the business on lockdown and then like, oh, my daughter's birthday is coming up. So I can actually kind of think and plan about the party and what she wants and all this stuff. And so not having to always have the business be like everything my brain thinks about and all that there is. And I mean, definitely there's still things that I'm like, I need to look into different dental insurance for them. And I'm just like, oh, that's not on my radar yet. It's like on
Like
deck.
side check note,
Yeah, it's like
little
at some point, my list of priorities here. So like I totally get it. Like there's still just like only a certain amount of capacity, even if your business does run like a well-oiled machine, but just seeing that it makes it so much easier to just feel secure in your own life and just like have a fulfilling regular non-business piece of yourself is just really helpful.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Just being able to unplug.
And I wrote a note about communication because communication, and this is part of the organized piece, like it's just key, like with your clients, with your team, like thinking about if you are on the other side, like if you are the team member, you are the client, like what would feel good for you if someone was bringing it to you, like I'm going to take time off. You don't want to just lay that out there and then not give them any details. Like you really want to let them know what it's going to look like, what the dates are, what they can expect. Lay all of that out so that if you were on the receiving end, you would feel really good about it. Like it's just so simple, but just letting people know in advance what to expect, responses, what kind of support you'll have, just over communicating in advance and then having reminders along the way just makes it feel really good on the team or the client side.
Yeah, I especially love that when you did that for the summer vacations, you gave me so much notice. So I was like, okay, so this is gonna happen. I'm gonna make sure that I'm like available to like everybody just in case they need me. But just knowing that you had that advance notice and just giving me that reassurance along the way, like just a heads up, just a reminder, this is what's going to happen. It feels good on the receiving end to know that you're so prepared. So that makes me feel prepared.
Yeah, it's just really helpful and letting people know who they can reach out to. So like for our bookkeeping clients, there's kind of like an auto response that, or, the bookkeeping people who email me get an automatic response of like, here's the bookkeeper you can contact, or I will respond after this date as I'm available. Just having those little things, even just an email that's like, if you want to book a call or a best fit call, here's a link. If you need to get in touch with Sara, this is how you would do that. Anyone else would be like, I will get back to you after a certain date, but just really laying it out there in an email and then in all the communication, just where they can go to get support if it doesn't need to be from me, if it's something on my website or Sara or whoever, like it's just there for them to grab. So
that's huge. It's huge on organization because setting up that out of office email is great for those clients that may have sent you an email and may have forgotten that you were going out of town because they have their own business, their own life going on. But that out of office email gives them that gentle reminder like, hey, I'm out of town, but I'll be in touch with you when I get back, or here's the point of contacts for if you need anything. But that way you don't have an inbox full of angry emails from that person wondering why you're not responding to them, But like the same goes with like the phone calls too. Like when you're setting up all your communications, you want to make sure like the phones are also set up too. My favorite thing about your summer vacation was that you had no internet service, that you were kind of like in a remote area, so you had kind of spotty reception. So that way you were like fully involved in your vacation, and like you still had like the times when you were going out to the town or something and you would check for messages from me, but I didn't have any because nothing's going to be so urgent that I want to bug you on your vacation. And that just is just like a just in case feeling for you, like just to check for those messages, make sure that there's no problems, and that gives you like reassurance that all is well back at home.
It was really nice. And it was funny because we had zero internet. Like I could get Instagram, so it was fun to kind of just share on stories what we were doing. But literally, I had to take my computer down the road with my 3 kids, use someone else's internet to get in. So it really made it clear when my work time was, and it didn't seep into anything. My father-in-law, we stayed at my father-in-law's house, and he had talked about getting whatever that Starlink or whatever internet. And I was like, no, we're
Mhm.
good. I don't really want internet
No,
at the
let's
house.
save the boat.
I think, that's just a really nice way to like really make yourself unplug. And I realized when I was checking in with internet and emails and all that, it was personal stuff. It was like signing up the
Yeah.
kids for their fall extracurriculars or a package that didn't get shipped and they charged me and I had to call for a refund. Like it was all that shit. It wasn't work stuff. Like it was really funny and nice to see that. And I'm gonna pull up because I noticed I haven't been. Let me check for comments or questions or anything. But
Yeah, join the chat.
nothing yet. But if y'all have questions later, let us know. Because our strategy, and this is kind of the organized piece too, is really thinking about how do we make it easy for our clients. So something that is big for us with the bookkeeping is really this is what we do every month. We did a live stream about this if anybody wants, at our bookkeeping flow of literally the steps we go through every month. These are the dates, these are the steps. We have tasks, we have them assigned to people, we use the platform Teamwork. That is all just there and it's buttoned up and it makes our lives so much easier. So, if feel free, if anybody catches this now or later, if you are like, I don't even know how to think about that in my business or how to even go about that, like send us a question, whatever, like we want to ideate with you. But that's just something that is just, it's like a non-negotiable. Like now that I've had Teamwork, I'm like, I can't live without it.
I know, and we like tested out a few products too in the very beginning. I was like, Teamwork is like the life savior because it even has its own reminder system through Teamwork so that you can remind your clients of their own tasks. And it's been a lifesaver, quite honestly. So organized.
I'm always asking them because with my one-to-one clients, we also chat in Voxer. So I want that chat capacity within Teamwork. But, kind of going back to setting up communication with clients and team, what I told my clients, and it was very much like, you can message me during that time. It's not like you can't, but it's just, I'm not going to respond until after this date. So I think it's important to let people know, like, it's not like obviously I didn't want them texting me or anything, but like use the channels that are set up and like, feel free if you just want to like brain dump or whatever, and it's July, that's totally fine. And I'll get back to it like in August. So I had a few clients do that. And it was like, we just hit the ground running in August because I mean, that was totally fine for them to message me, but they knew like they weren't mad or anything. They just were like getting it out there. Like this was coming up for them. They were thinking about this and just went ahead and like laid it out there. But it was very clear, like, I'm not checking this. I won't respond. And then when I came back, I did. And it was just like, they were amazing about it. So
Yeah, I love that you have those systems in place too, because like my husband previously had a work phone and a personal phone, and that just became so much of a headache for him because he would get calls all the time. And so they set up their own like my husband works in IT, so they set up their own like ticketing system where they'd have to call in or they'd have to email in their help desk instead of reaching out to personal cell phone numbers or to the work phones so that they one could get rid of the work phones, but then they could also make sure that work is work and personal is personal so that you aren't like always on it, always needing to be plugged into the office, plugged into the work that you're doing. But since we have Teamwork and everything, all of our clients make sure they are communicating through that. And again, like you said, if they text you or they message you on other communications, they just have to know like you're not going to be reaching back out to them until you're back in town.
and even with some of our clients, like we'll move, like, oh, they forget and they email, and it's like, that's totally fine. I'll just catch it and
Yeah.
put it in Teamwork. And then we have it all. That's like our brain. So it's just nice to have those systems set up. So whatever you do in your business, like just have kind of boundaries set up and just really hold your clients to them because they want to. I mean, they want to, you know, let you have your evenings or whatever it is. And this kind of goes into like to the implement piece of really like walking my walk and talking my talk and knowing that like my clients very much want me to be able to unplug and they know that I'm a human being and they're not mad about it. And like, to me, that would just be like a huge red flag if someone was upset that I was taking time off or doing something. Like, it'd be like, okay, I'm probably not going to offer them a renewal. But, it just really shows that you're a human and you're working with other humans. And so we all need those kind of boundaries and full permission in your business to kind of set those up. And, like, it's really important for me to, if I'm going to tell my clients that they need to set up boundaries and not work weekends or holidays or evenings or whatever, I want to hold myself to that, because it wouldn't make sense for me to say I'm only going to check in once a weekend and then I'm there the whole time, or I'm going to go on vacation and then I'm responding to them the whole time. Like, then they're sitting there like, but you're telling me to hold boundaries. And so it just kind of doesn't make sense. So it's something that I really want to model for my clients, and I'm asking them to do. I'm asking other business owners to do. So I really hold myself to that, because I would feel terrible if Sara was on vacation and I was messaging her and she messaged me back. I'd be like, no, never mind. Stop. Like,
I know, it's like the small person in me that's like, oh yeah, it's just a quick response. But at the same time, you're right. Like, hold those boundaries for yourself. And like, we're so fortunate to have great clients too. They all understand that nothing is so urgent, nothing's such an emergency that it can't wait maybe a couple days or and through the weekend in order for us to get back. It might just be that they emailed us. And this is also part of like the 9 to 5 job. People would email us at a certain time of like the evening, because that might have been the only time that they were available. But they already know, like, we might not get back to them until like the next day or midday or whenever we're back in the office,
you're not
quote
like
unquote.
actually expecting a response. That's just literally when
Right.
they like had the chance to do it. And so just, yeah. And I think that's just part of kind of our process with working with people. Is like, we're picking the client as much as they're picking us. And if they're not, they're kind of showing up and being this, I expect a response anytime. Like, that just, I don't think we've ever really had anybody like that. But, that's just very much something that we're looking for on the front end.
Really.
Is just discerning for fit. And that would be, not a good fit if somebody expected immediate response. And we let clients know, like, the reason we ask for approval by the 13th is because we are humans, and maybe we go away for the weekend or whatever. We're going to give you 2 weeks to approve something. We need a week to file it. Like, it's just kind of this open communication. And they know that if they approve it on the 20th, maybe it gets filed or maybe it doesn't, but that's just something that they understand. And they're not, they know that it's like, well, I got there after the kind of deadline. So,
Right.
If it gets filed, that's a nice bonus. But if not, I'm not mad about it, because it's very open communication with that.
Yeah, I agree.
But my other note about implementation was, business owners, we can be control freaks. This is our business. It's kind of our baby. We want everything running smoothly. So it's really trusting that others can do as good a job as you, or, even better. I feel like at this point, Sara, I wouldn't be able to do all the bookkeeping that she does on top of my one support. So it's just knowing that,
Right.
like, she's doing a better job than I could with this. And my social media manager, like, she does a better job than I could, and making that okay. And just seeing that we can, like, let people in and get support and have all that, and it's okay. And obviously that would be like a whole nother live stream, would be about like bringing on team and training and everything. But it's just, again, like, part of this conversation with being a business owner, and it is us. So we really want to, have our best foot forward and have everything run smoothly in client communication, and just remembering that, it doesn't have to be just us doing everything for it to run smoothly.
Yeah, and I feel like implementing is just such an easy thing to do once you've strategized and organized everything up to this point, because now's the time that you would just put everything you've worked so hard on to just put it to action and trust your process. And like, taking time away can be scary at first, but again, it's important for your health and your body and your mental health, and the health of your business too. So with some efficient planning and organization, lots of communication, enjoying vacation is going to be the only thing that's on your mind when it gets to it.
Yeah, it kind of comes back to the mindset piece. If you're not able to implement it, then it's like, well, we need to look at the mindset work, because we've done these other things, so what,
like full circle at that point.
preventing you? Yeah, it just kind of like goes back in, and maybe you go on vacation, there's some hiccups, like, first things have happened. So it's like, okay, noted. Like, next time we'll maybe do it this way, or, kind of modify things or tweak it. Like, it's always kind of a learning process. Like, you're not going to go on vacation just once, go out of town just once. Like, it's going to be like, we'll use this process again and again. And so let's just kind of tweak it and see what we could have done differently if we need to have that happen. So it never kind of ends.
It's fluid.
Yeah, that's the good news. So people are like, I want it to be done now, perfect, full stop, and just,
It won't be.
and again, that's kind of like the piece of discerning for fit with clients and seeing how they handle things, and kind of rolling with it. If you went on vacation and there was a hiccup with something, and just that is so telling of you should be working with them anyway, and just, okay, maybe that's not a great fit, and I changed the strategy organization piece over here. So it's something that's just kind of always there. Well, I think that's it. Do you have anything else, Sarah?
I think we've covered all the bases.
I was looking at my notes pretty well. I'm just going to check and make sure there aren't any comments that anyone came up with. My connection is slow. Okay, no, so cool. So again, anyone, if you're catching the replay, be sure to ask us questions. Let us know your comments and thoughts about this. But I think this is just a fun thing to start thinking about, like, now, and with everything that goes on in the fall, like all the school stuff and all the activities, and just kind of getting this conversation rolling now versus November.
Yes. The Q4 rush.
Yeah. But if you have questions, if you don't know how to even start your process, what to do, what to use in your business, how to even set that up, like, please, I'll drop a link, book a free call. We'll definitely look at consistency. Is kind of one of my number one things that I'm really good at and love those owners with. So I'll drop the link there, and you can get a free call and free support to really figure out how to get that consistency and those systems and processes in your business, so you can have the time off and make the money that you want. Yeah. All right, Sarah. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
I'll see you later.
All right. Bye, everybody.